Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest today. She is a dear friend of mine, which I love. She works her businesses from the hiking trails, ski mountains, campsites, great restaurants, and anywhere else for life will take her. So, Vaungaylyn, welcome.
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. And 6 years kind of blows my mind.
I know.
What are we going to do about that? But yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for asking me to be on.
Great. So, why don't we just dive in? I would love to hear when and why you started your business or businesses. Just tell us more about that.
Yeah. Gosh, I run three businesses currently, all from my home, which I'm pretty lucky to be doing. Something I never really thought I would be doing. So entrepreneurship wasn't something I really thought that I was great at or had a whole interest in or a knack for, but I have found that it is everything I need it to be. And I'm so, so grateful. So I currently own a mobile beer and wine truck, which is a 1949 classic Chevy, and it's adorable. And we have some partners in that want to run that business bigger. So they may be buying us out, which is exciting because they want to spend more time and we don't want to spend more time. So we're going to hand it off. I also own a children's clothing line, which is really fun. It started out as clothes for girls, not stereotypes, but rapidly became clothes for kids, not stereotypes. And it's all about picking a rad design on rad clothes and making it happen without the gender constraints. So boy things on girly clothes and girly things on boy clothes. So it's really exciting on that. And then I run a skincare business, which I am in love with. And that comes from a background of being a medical esthetician for 8 years. After finishing college and going into the work world, I realized that's not my passion. I kind of want to go play skin. So I'm doing those three things. The skincare business is my number one. The clothing line is my number two. And the beer truck, as I've said, is on its way out. But yeah, entrepreneur. I wish I could take credit for that, but somebody else said, "Oh, you're a real entrepreneur," and it stuck. So I'm really excited about that. I am a maximalist. I try to fill everything, including my home and my car and my life, with a lot of things, and I think it's the best way for me to kind of move through this world. So I have worked in corporate America. I have owned my own business as far as the skincare world. I do volunteer my time elsewhere. And I have found that even though I never, ever in a million years thought I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom because they work harder than anybody, I find myself being a stay-at-home mom and working three businesses. And I will say that as a stay-at-home mom, I love that role. It is not stay-at-home housekeeper for me. That's a separate role that I cannot say that I do at all or very well. But I'm thrilled to be at home with my daughter, with my family, and then, like I said, being able to go and adventure. We live in Reno. I mean, Nevada is definitely a place much like Colorado where you have just beautiful things right out your back door. And so in the summer, we're at Lake Tahoe in 20 minutes and we're paddleboarding and we're swimming and we're boating. And in the winter, we're skiing, and the off shoulder seasons, we're mountain biking and hiking. And then we last night looked at a van, and we are probably going to jump in a van and go travel around for 6 months and see the world. And I can run my businesses from anywhere. So that's really beneficial for me.
That's awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited to follow this van trip.
I know. We'll see.
Yeah, that'll be good. I think it's pretty awesome how you mentioned about being a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur. I think those things go really well together.
They do.
Um,
Absolutely.
and are more possible now than ever before for moms.
Yes. Yeah. And not to mention, like we talk about, we are talking about this whole opportunity to work from anywhere or work in any way you want. If you're not a traveler, you're a homebody. You can be at home working in a space that you love and working it around your life. But also, it's the same with the schools right now. I mean, I can throw, Zoe in our van and teach her to read and teach her to write and teach her to do all these things and experience life, and all we need is a Wi-Fi connection occasionally, and it's acceptable, which is so interesting that our world is moving that way. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's great.
I know.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about where you are right now in your business or businesses?
Sure, sure. So as I said, I have been a medical esthetician for 8 years. I'm still licensed. I don't practice in studio any longer. That was a labor of love, and I was really grateful to own my own business. And I worked 6 days a week happily. My husband and I, very, very happily and very graciously exist under the same roof, and then go and do our own things and come back at the end of the day to be together. So that's really nice. And I was happy to be 6 days a week. And then when I was pregnant with Zoe, who's now 5, I obviously thought, well, 6 days a week isn't going to work when I have a brand new baby or a child. That's not what I want to do. And financially holding the space open in a studio didn't work. So I stepped away from that role and went to work for one of the top plastic surgeons in the country, which was, I'm so lucky to have worked for him and been in that field. And really honed in on that medical side. I worked 2 days a week. Zoe went to school. She got socialization. I got to step outside and still feel like I was an adult and not just stuck in this mom world. And that went on for a number of years, and it was wonderful. 2 years ago, April of 2016, I was pregnant with our second child. And my husband, very pragmatically, as he does, said, listen, I know that you like to work, and I know that you don't see yourself as a stay-at-home mom, and that's not the role that you ever really wanted to do. Financially, it doesn't make sense for us to put 2 kids in daycare and have you go to studio. It makes sense for you to be home. And while I very much understood where he was coming from and that he was being realistic about it, I was very upset and did not want to step away from working entirely, and was really worked up about it. It was then that my friend and our sorority sister, Casey, approached me. Actually, she'd been approaching me for a year, but that's when she approached me at the right time and said, we've talked about this and you've always been a hardcore no, but like, I run this skincare business from my phone. You are in skin. I'm not. It makes a lot of sense for you. Like, what is it that you need? And I said, I need coffee money. I need to be able to go to the park with my kids and buy a cup of coffee on the way and not have to worry about my husband asking me why I'm buying coffee. And she said, that's easy. Like, if all you want is coffee money, what's the problem? Let's go. So under great duress, to be entirely honest, I said yes to, starting my own business in a franchise world, which is easy. They run all the hard things for me. And I did everything wrong. Those businesses are set up to help you succeed, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I thought I had to. So I was finishing out being pregnant. I was closing out working in studio at a job I loved. I was having that whole, we're going to add another child thing, and it was scary. And really minimally did my business at that point. The clothing line and the beer truck did not exist yet. The beer truck was just kind of getting started at that point in time. We were talking about it and getting that kind of off the ground. So in August of 2016, our beautiful son Jacob was born, and everything was, postpartum happiness, which is very different from when I had Zoe. That was postpartum depression. And this was glorious and beautiful. And the 4 of us just meshed well, and everything was perfect. I wasn't working any of the businesses. I was obviously just in that taking care of family and recuperating mode. And at 6 weeks old, for no reason whatsoever, Jacob passed. And we fell into a deep, dark hole, as you do when you lose a child. And we just tried to kind of hold ourselves together. Sorry, I can usually get through this pretty well, but today it's getting me. I apologize.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing.
Yeah. And so I didn't do anything, obviously, for quite some time. And then in January of 2017, I realized that getting up every day for my daughter, which I'm so grateful I had her, my gosh, but getting up for her every day had been such a blessing and such the thing I needed to drag myself out. And now it was time for something a little bit more. And so, in January last year, I started working my skincare business. I started talking, a lot to people and saying, okay, I don't have the energy to reinvent this wheel, so just tell me what to do. And it grew exponentially. I never in a million years thought I would be a network marketer or a direct salesperson. In fact, I was pretty nasty when I said no to people about it in the past, and I have had to remove my foot from my mouth. I've seen such incredible growth over the past year and few months, and celebrated my technical 2-year anniversary with this company this month. And it's just blowing my mind. If we decide to sell everything we own, buy a van, and disappear, my husband can quit his job and I can support him on my salary, which is huge. If we stay here, we're not there yet, but that's the eventual goal. You guys, I am blown away. I just have to say that when you don't say yes to something, or at least hear somebody out with an open mind about anything in this world, you can say, it's not for me, I think. tell me about it anyway. But when you don't have that open mind, you could so possibly miss out. And it's so funny because I look at, hindsight being 2020, and I think, man, if I could go back and tell myself at any point in time, look at this, really take a look and think about it and just dive in and try it. Because what's the problem with it? If it doesn't work, at least you tried. It's just so funny. I wish I could go back and rewind time and do that all over again. So the clothing line is still baby steps. It's so fun, and we're playing with it. The beer truck, as I said, is hopefully moving along pretty quickly here. And my skincare business is just on its way up. I mean, it's just blowing up. And it's so nice to be able to work that from where I want, provide for my family, have way more than coffee money, not have to ask my husband when I buy anything, redo our kitchen, potentially sell this house and disappear into the wild blue yonder, and potentially support our family in that role. So I've been really, really fortunate, and I'm really proud to be a stay-at-home mom and an entrepreneur now, which is funny.
Yeah, it is just so interesting. I think your story and all the different things that you've been through is just so inspiring to so many people. So thank you so much for sharing that and being willing to be vulnerable in that.
Sure.
And
thanks for asking. I'd like to talk about Jacob. He's important.
Yeah. And what I've noticed just being your friend is that he still has an impact on a daily basis in so many people's lives. And that's really amazing to see.
It's so amazing. And the funny thing about that is this job has also been able to give me the opportunity to grieve him. And I'm so sorry. I can usually really turn this. Did you lose me for a minute? Sorry.
I did. You're back.
Sorry. I can usually just calm down, but this has been a little bit of a roller coaster month, so I apologize. But the amazing thing is that when I did come back from this, I was able to work these businesses as a mom sitting on the couch in a big pile of depression, as a mom who needed to wrap her daughter up for either her daughter or for myself. When I needed to go hiking and get into nature, I was able to do that. When I needed to sleep, I was able to do that. I wasn't required to get back to work at 8:00 in the morning. And I really think it's part of the reason that I have moved through this thing of grief and worked on healing as well as I have, and my husband, who's a wonderful soul and went back to work 3 weeks later to support our family, bless his sweet heart. I don't think he's had that opportunity. And when I watch people who really deal with grief in any manner, when they have to go back and be on somebody else's schedule and they don't have the freedom to feel the feelings that they need to feel at that moment, it really impacts them. And, even moms, I mean, every mom, every parent, we have such a shift when we have one child or we move towards second child or third and so on. It changes who we are. It changes what matters to us. And that's okay. I think we get so stuck in this is where we have to be. And so when you have the ability in a job, in a role to move that and have that be fluid, I think it really benefits you as a parent and as a human being, and it benefits your children. I think it's amazing. So I'm grateful for these jobs more than I ever would have imagined.
Yeah. And I think some of it is like, you never know what you're really saying yes to and where life is going to take you.
Right.
And it just seems like it was there for you when you needed it, and you didn't even really know that you were going to need it in the way you did.
It was amazing. Yeah. The universe definitely puts things in front of you when you need to. You just have to be willing to listen to it, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
Absolutely.
shocking.
Well, what kind of advice do you have for other moms who are either just starting out or feeling really stuck in their businesses?
Gosh. Yeah. Or, especially the people that are afraid to even take the leap. My number one piece of advice is say yes to hearing the opportunity, right? There's no requirement to say yes to the opportunity, but say yes to hearing about it. Because even if you're talking to someone about an opportunity and you realize this is not my jam, there is such opportunity in connecting someone else who it might be their jam. And then in turn, something that's not right for them might be right for you. And the circle continues. So when someone says, hey, I really want to share this with you, don't be afraid to say, I'm willing to hear you out. I don't know if I'm a yes, but I'm willing to hear you out. And if I'm a no, I will be open and honest about that. So that's my first piece of advice. Say yes. My second piece of advice is don't be afraid. Don't let fear drive you, right? And so if it feels right, if you feel like this could be, there is opportunity there, maybe, then jump in, right? Weigh your pros and cons and figure out what's in, but like jump in, because if it doesn't work, just like us in a van, if it doesn't work, we come home. If it doesn't work, you can walk away from it. You're not locked in. It's the same thing I thought when I was 19 and moved to Washington, D.C., and I was terrified. My mom said, if you hate it, you come home. Like, what's the big deal? So say yes. Try something. Give it a shot and give it your all. Talk to people and be vulnerable. I mean, I would not say that I was ever a vulnerable person before we lost Jacob. And now I feel like that's one of the gifts. I hate to think that there are gifts that came out of it, but there are, and that's beneficial. But I'm such a vulnerable person in terms of saying, I'm not okay. Here's where I need help, right? So I am a clutter bug and my husband is a clean freak. And I reached out to my people and I said, this is destroying my marriage. This is years ago. I mean, it's still a problem, but whatever. Hey guys, who can help me? And my friends came around and said, I know how to organize. So being vulnerable, right? Saying, I don't want to quit my real job because I like coffee money. I don't want to quit my real job because I'm stressed. I feel like my husband's carrying the burden or my spouse is carrying the burden. I don't feel good about this. Saying those words out loud, it takes it from this big internal problem and it spreads it out and it takes the weight off your shoulders. So speak to the people that are in your network and speak to the people that are around you, and don't be afraid to say, I'm looking for something different. What do you have? So I would say those are the biggest things for any of us as moms, especially.
Yeah, I love that second one because that's something that I think of when I think of you, because you're always posting, who do I know who does this or knows this? Like you were matchmaking the other day.
Oh my gosh, I'm totally matchmaking. I have like secret
connections. Do you have an update for us?
Not yet. I'm not ready to share the update, but okay. Yes, I did post that. Like, I know all these beautiful people and I know there are beautiful people in the world who would be lovely for them. So why not? And don't say no. Hear it out. Go on a date. Say yes to opportunity. It might not be the right person, but how are you going to know? It's the same as a job. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love watching that. It makes me want to do the same because we all have these big networks, and we did before, but now we actually get to see that number with social media.
Yeah.
And realize how many connections we can put together.
Yeah. So reaching out, I think, is really crucial, and not being afraid.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. Yeah. So how can people contact you if they want to know more about what you're doing or your story or buying things from you?
Oh, yes. Send them all my way. I'm an open book, and I think you know that about me. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. I'll give you the real answer. So our clothing line is Thistle Kidswear, Thistle like the flower, .com. And people are welcome to go there. We're also Thistle Kidswear on Facebook and Instagram. So that's exciting. Come check us out, share it. We're kind of in our bubble of people we know, and we're working to break out of that bubble. So if you're interested in it, please share. We love aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas and people who are friends of people with children. So share that, Thistle Kidswear. My skincare business, you can visit VG, like Vaungaylyn, vg.myrandf.com. And I'll put that in the links below. Or you guys can just call me. And my phone number is already out in the world. So it's 775-233-0426. And you're welcome to just call me or text me anytime you want and just say, I saw you, with Sam. Like, what are you doing? Even if people are out there and they're saying like, I don't want to talk to her about any of our businesses. I just want to talk to her because I don't know who to be vulnerable with. Or, as we well know, I was big in the postpartum depression world, and I wrote an article for our sorority. And if somebody's feeling lost in that and they feel like they just need a little direction there, I'm happy to help with that as well. So they can message me on Facebook. They can find me on Instagram. I'm everywhere. If you Google Vaungaylyn, if you can somehow spell it, I'm the only one that pops up. So find me, contact me, let me know. I'm happy to connect with people. I am a hub, and I really like getting to know people and saying hi. So let's do it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time today and sharing everything that you did. This was amazing. I'm so glad that I was able to get you on here and introduce you to my circle. And yeah, this was wonderful.
And just because this is popping onto my feed, would you please just give a quick blurb on what you do so my people can see you?
Sure. Yes. So I'm Samantha Siffring, as it says below. And I am a business consultant and coach, and specifically help moms launch and grow online businesses. So that can be network marketing businesses, that can be some kind of consulting, freelance gig, and anything in between. So that's what I'm up to, and I'm available at tbhcoach.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am so happy to see your sweet face, and I really appreciate you reaching out at all.
Yeah, this was great. Well, thanks so much. And we'll put all of those links below, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye,
All right.
sweets.
Bye.